Thank you very much for the invitation to talk about my experience with the Concert for Piano and Orchestra by John Cage, a work which I have performed throughout my life in various kinds of instrumentations with large ensemble many years ago, for example, during my membership with Ensemble Köln. Then later we made a flute trio version with Trio Pleyel, and of course I performed the cello part on its own as a solo work quite frequently. As it says in Cage's instructions, quite in general, any amount of pages of the individual parts can be performed. I do not know in which instrumentation you intend to realize the work. Quite in general, out of my experience, it seems advisable to reduce the amount of individual actions with increasing number of involved performers. In case you decide to perform it with large ensemble or symphony orchestra, at the beginning of the work on the piece, an overall length of the performance should be determined. In case there is a conductor, of course, the conductor will do that work. According to the given overall length of the performance, the conductor will make a scheme for the division of the individual parts in time sections, the sum of which will fulfill the overall length of the performance. During the performance, the conductor will indicate the timing by drawing a watch-like circle with his two arms. Doing that, he may get faster or slower, causing an accelerando or ritardando. Detailed instructions are provided in Cage's part for the conductor. John Cage is one of those composers who had the wonderful gift to express mainly with very few words very clearly what he wanted to say. So every detail of his instructions should be attended to quite seriously. The way of notation in the individual parts are very similar. The notation can be characterized as a mixture between traditional notation and graphical notation. Whereas pitches are notated traditionally, some other parameters of the music are indicated by graphical means. Let me now demonstrate to you possible ways of interpretation of the individual parts, taking the cello part as an example. Notes are of three sizes: small, medium and large. A small note is either soft in dynamics, piano, pianissimo or pianissimo, or short in duration, or both. A medium note is either medium in dynamics, say mezzo piano, mezzo forte, or medium in duration, or both. A large note is either strong in the dynamic range, forte, fortissimo, fortissimo, or medium in duration, or both. So there are quite a number of possible interpretations. Let's take some examples. Page 102, third note, D natural, a small note. So if you take the dynamic first, then the duration is 3. Okay. Okay, this just is 3 possible interpretations. There are more, quite a number of combinations. Another example, a medium-sized note, page 104, first line, second note, C flat, a medium note. Okay, so for example, this was medium dynamic, medium in duration, or if you take the duration first, so medium duration, you can choose any dynamics. For example, or. So this is a lot stimulating everybody's fantasy. Yeah? This kind of notation gives you an enormous space of possible interpretations. Now, all notes are to be played without any diminuendo or crescendo unless it says in the score. This is most important to be aware of. Notes of appreciable duration can be played constantly or intermittently. So, for example, let's take again this C flat, what we had before. You can play constantly or intermittently, or so various kind of possibilities. Also, a trill can be added. Okay, now sound timbres is a big issue in this work. There are the traditional sound timbres: sol tasto, sol ponticello, collegno tratto, collegno battuto. In addition, there are various kinds of pizzicatos. There is the normal pizzicato, you just see at the bottom of page 4, C natural, quite a normal pizzicato. Then Bartok pizzicato, so the string hitting the fingerboard. And then a pizzicato in which the left-hand finger is put next to the pitch in question, and the string is supposed to hit the fingernail. So a very kind percussive kind of effect. Sometimes an arrow is attached to a note, which means a slide after the note. For example, page 101, second line, third note. So quite a number of different timbres and playing techniques. Talking about timbres. In case there is a dotted line below a note, this means using a mute. Quite a number of mute string players can use the normal wooden mute or rubber mute, or this so-called whisper mute, a metal one. So this is a core essential for this piece, timbre of sound. Mutes should be varied as much as possible, completely according to your discretion and what you would like to do and regard as appropriate. Again, timbres. Now, noises. Noises, well, I put it in relation to timbres. Notes below a staff and attached to it by a stem mean noises. Noises either produced on the instrument or by any other means. Any other instrument you got next to you, you bring with you. Now, we got quite a number of noise production possibilities on our instrument. Of course, our instrument never should be damaged. This is a basic requirement, and it is very well possible to do a number of percussive effects on the instrument. And so on. Again, your fantasy is very much stimulated. Leave it out and produce whatever you would like to produce. Of course, it should relate to the notation. Also regarding noises, there are small ones, medium ones, and large size notes, and these requirements are given and should be attended to. Vibrato. In principle, all notes are to be played without vibrato, unless it says differently, and vibrato is indicated by a wavery kind of note, sign, graphical sign on top of the note. Quite a number of combinations of speed and amplitude of vibrato. Very slow one, then here a faster one. And quite a very fast one. Yeah. So vibrato aesthetically got a little bit a different meaning than it has in romantic music, also Baroque music. Maybe it's a little bit close to the meaning it has in the Baroque music, but espressivo in Cage's music is produced by other means than the vibrato. Okay, you realize this work stimulates a lot your individual design of the music, your individual personal kind of forming it, and for me this is one of the strongest attractions it has, and I wish you a lot of fulfillment by working on John Cage's concert for piano and orchestra. Thank you very much.